Hello, welcome to the Common Law Court. Today is the 27th of May 2020. Today we're going to discuss the existing statutory legal system, what there is of it, and we'll also give you an update regarding both David Noakes and Linda Thayer. Now, for those of you who are not aware of the existing system, we now have a new judicial system in place within the UK. They have been working for a number of years now, but we're now to announce that it's up and running and it will probably be coming to a country near you soon. The new judicial system set up is SBV, which is short for Sentenced by Video. It's a new way, a new process. What they do is they actually arrest you. They put you into prison. You're not allowed to attend a court. They set up a court hearing. The public are not allowed in by way of the public gallery to witness anything, and there's no due process. They then set up a video link, get you to appear in the video link, and the judge will therefore sentence you by video. Great new system. It's cutting down and greatly reducing staffing costs, and it's a lot easier because by the time they pass sentence, you're already in prison. Well, if you think that's far-fetched, this is actually what's just happened to David Noakes. Now, what I'm going to do now is cover some of the information relating to the two of them. Some of you may not know the story about David and Linda. We'll cover that just now, but what we can confirm is that the two of them are actually being attacked by the state. They're actually being attacked for trying to come up with a cure for cancer and various other diseases and ailments. They have actually been reasonably successful in doing so, and the government and the pharmaceutical company have done everything they can to attack them unlawfully. They're actually been kidnapped and they're unlawfully currently being detained. David Noakes in Exeter Prison in England, and Linda Thayer is currently serving a sentence in France just now. What we're going to do is we explain a little bit about the fiction that's used to attack them. For those of you that don't know, when your birth certificate is created with your parents and the state create a legal fiction for you, a legal identity. They then use that to attach to you, and they will then hold you accountable throughout your life for damages, costs, and they'll use that to punish you. What we're going to do now is show that how this has happened in relation to David and Lynn and explain what's going on. And just to confirm, for those of you who think that slavery was abolished hundreds of years ago, we're going to play a video again that we have shown previously just to highlight this message and to confirm what the situation is. I'll leave you to watch the video now and I'll come back to you when it's finished.
James, your name is Toby. I want to hear you say it. Your name is Toby. You're going to learn to say your name. Let me hear you say it. What's your name?
Kunta Kinte.
When the master gives you something, you take it. He gave you a name. It's a nice name. It's Toby. And it's going to be yours till the day you die. Now, I know you understand me, and I want to hear it. Again! I want to hear you say your name. Your name is Toby. What's your name?
Kunta.
Lord God, help that boy. They're gonna whip him dead.
What's your name? Say it. Toby. Who are you? Say your name. What's your name?
Toby.
Hi. Say it again. Say it louder so they all can hear you. What's your name?
Toby. My name is Toby.
Hi. That's a good nigger. Cut him down.
Hello, welcome back. Not pleasant viewing, but I thought it was worthwhile showing you this video again. As you will see from the video, the slave, who is called Kunta Kinte, refused to accept the slave name. The slave was actually whipped and nearly died, and eventually, when he could take no more, he eventually accepted the slave name Toby. This is happening each day within the UK and countries throughout the world. In their statutory courts, which are so-called courts, but they're not their places of business, the judges knowingly are forcing a slave name onto you. You may believe it's the same name, but it's not. There is a difference. Your name under common law does not have a title and also is not written in capital letters. As soon as they attach the title to you, it becomes a fictitious name, a legal entity. And as soon as you accept the slave name, it then allows them to punish you as their rules apply, and you are obviously held accountable for any breaches of their so-called rules. It's only if you stand as a living man or living woman that these rules, so-called laws, are not applicable. Now, in relation to moving on and David and Lynn, both David Noakes and Linda Thayer have actually confirmed that they are both a living man and a living woman. This has been confirmed as they've obtained a birth certificate from the common law court. They have also obtained ownership documents for the fictitious name, the legal entity, which means that the courts have no authority over them. Now, in addition to that, we've actually taken out void orders within their existing system to void previous decisions against them, which is still in the system. They cannot get rid of them. They cannot return them. They cannot void them. They cannot dismiss them. These void decisions are still applicable, but the judges do not want to comply with them, which again is a criminal offence. But what we'll do is we're going to go through in relation to the story and let you know what's happening with David and Lynn. David Noakes is currently, as we said, in Exeter prison, and Lynn is in France pending a hearing for charges that they've came up with. Both charges are unlawful. The system have kidnapped them and they are both being unlawfully detained. Now, they have used the fiction against them, and as we're dealing supposedly with a COVID-19 situation worldwide and the lockdown, this just shows you how ridiculous that this is. The state are using the health system. This is to try and concern people, scare the people. They're forcing them into lockdown, and potentially they're looking at the vaccinations in the near future. This is all ridiculous. It's been proven time and time again. There is not an issue here. This is something we're going to cover over the next few days in another video. But needless to say, just now, this has been orchestrated by the government and Big Pharma. Now, there are various other issues in relation to this, but get back to David and Lynn. The fictions have been used by the state to try and attack them, and nothing more than the reason that they are trying to come up with a cure for cancer and various ailments. If I just turn around out of curiosity, I'll ask you just now, as reasonable-minded men and women, how many people do you know have had cancer? How many people do you know, whether it's friends or family, have actually passed away with cancer? And more to the point, how many people just now do you know that are currently dealing with this? Now, this is ridiculous that people are having to deal with this, and yet there's possibly a cure for this available. Now, chemotherapy, this is which Big Pharma uses. My understanding is that it costs approximately £40,000 for one course of chemotherapy. But when they actually start these courses, you do not get one, you maybe get 3 or 4 courses at £40,000 a time. Now, with that, because I've had relations who've obviously had chemotherapy before, and they're actually using this to literally kill people, the success rates for chemotherapy is only 3%. Now, yet, this is the product that was developed by David and Linda is a product called GC-MAF. Now, this product has a huge success rate. They've treated over 10,000 patients. They've even treated stage 4 cancer, and they have a success rate of over 80%. My understanding is that the cost for this product is probably about 1% of what chemotherapy costs, and unlike chemotherapy, there is no side effects, literally. A minor is the equivalent of getting a flu jab. There's no side effects, no hair loss, no sickness, straightforward. And as I said, it seems to have a success rate of over 80%. Now, GC-MAF is not just tackling one issue. It deals with very many ailments. So this product is actually causing a lot of good. It seems to be successful. We are not allowed to use the word cure, so we won't use cure. But what we can tell you is prior to taking this product, people had an ailment, a disease, autism, cancer. They've taken this product, and after taking it for a period of time, they'll now no longer have cancer or autism. But we can't say they've been cured. However, this is only according to the Cancer Act 1939. However, at a recent common law court, we have annulled that legislation, so it's not applicable. Now, if we come back just now and look at the situation with David and Lynn, we have actually convened various courts over the last few years to deal with this issue. Now, there has been 3 different judges prosecuted and found guilty for their behaviour in relation to this. 2 judges in England, which is Nicholas Lorraine Smith and Michael Supperstone. And in France, we've prosecuted Jean-Luc Cadoud, who's a senior court judge over in France. We've also prosecuted the, who's it now? I'm trying to think just now, the Lord Chief Justice, Mr. Burnett, I think it is, has been prosecuted, all of which were found guilty by a trial and a jury of their peers, and all have been sentenced accordingly. Now, what we're going to do is move on slightly because we are highlighting the problems within the system. We have actually put in void orders. The void orders that went in was to annul or cancel previously issued orders by the statutory courts. Now, we have 3, 1 for Lynn, 2 for David. So we have actually voided them, and they currently are still in the system, and they cannot get rid of them. But what the judges are trying to do is just ignore them, which they won't be able to. So next week, we're actually moving forward. We're going to go to the courts, and we're going to obviously deal with this issue. But the void orders are still there, and the fact that they're not complying with them confirms that they're committing more crimes against the people. This is not just a small issue. This is treason. They're actually committing treason just now, and nobody's holding them accountable. Well, the common law court has, and we will do so over the next week or so, because it is treason, and these crimes are actually killing people. Now, not only that, it says these decisions that we've put in, the void decisions, are lawful, but not only that, they're legal within their own system, and yet they're still not complying. The notices have been submitted, they've been served to the courts, and in addition to serving them to the courts, they've actually signed for them, so they've acknowledged receipt of these. However, they still don't want to comply with them. Now, in relation to the situation with Nicholas Lorraine Smith, what we can say is that Nicholas Lorraine Smith dealt with a hearing last Friday for David Noakes. Now, I'm sorry if I just get this just now, I'll just check the date for you. As far as I'm aware, the date was the 22nd of May. David didn't appear, but as far as I'm aware, Nicholas Lorraine Smith held the hearing and decided to adjourn the matter. Now he's had 5 opportunities recently to deal with it. On the first 2, I attended the court with David. Nicholas Lorraine Smith, when we challenged his authority and jurisdiction, had confirmed 3 times during a hearing that he would allow us to challenge it, which we have a right to do so. He then adjourned the case for 2 weeks, and on returning 2 weeks later, he decided that he would no longer allow us to challenge his authority and jurisdiction. Well, the reason he did that is because he could not win the argument. He had no authority, he had no jurisdiction, and he would lose. But instead of having this hearing, he decided to ignore the challenge immediately, and he said he was just going to continue. Now, the procedures that they have when authority and jurisdiction is challenged, he cannot personally make the decision to proceed. He's not allowed to, because he hasn't established authority and jurisdiction. So therefore, it had to go to a superior judge. He didn't do so. He's carried on and committed crimes again. After 2 hearings, we decided we'd had enough, so we no longer went back to the court. But Nicholas Lorraine Smith had tried to convene 3 additional court hearings to remove David Noakes' assets. Now, at the 3 hearings, not on any occasion has he been able to proceed with this order. He cannot do that because, first of all, we voided it. We've established he had no authority and jurisdiction, and lo and behold, after Friday's hearing, he has actually now retired. Now, it was mentioned a couple of months ago he was going to be retiring, but he made that announcement after he was served with a common law court order, which found him guilty of committing crimes against the people. He was guilty of various charges against the people, and he was informed that he would be held accountable for his behaviour. We then voided his decisions, so that meant that he could proceed with enforcement. We refused to go to his court, which wasn't a court at all, it was a place of business, and all of a sudden he's decided he's now going to retire. Now, there was an announcement on the website for the courts confirming that he's retired after serving a number of years, but he has retired early at the age of 67. Now, as far as I'm aware, the retirement age for judges is 70, although many judges actually continue until they're 75. Given the amount of money they make as well, it's a strange decision to retire. It's also a strange decision to retire earlier. But could this be to do with the common law court stance? Could it be that he's been caught out by a jury and found guilty? Could it be that he wishes to protect his pension in case it's going to disappear? Or is he concerned about what's happening and the fact he has no authority? He is no longer a judge as from last Friday. Now, the latest situation was, having decided to adjourn matters on Friday, David Noakes is now have to appear on the 19th of June for the next hearing. Unfortunately, my understanding is they're going to start the process again with a new judge, which means that there will be a hearing, a summary hearing, basically to decide how they're going to proceed, a briefing, and then after which the judge will probably then set a preliminary hearing, and then after which it will go to trial. However, this matter's already been dealt with because we will be lodging paperwork probably next week to see how things go, because they can't do what they're doing. It is criminal, and they're continuing to commit crimes against the people and also against the 2 individuals concerned, and they're also kidnapping them and they're unlawfully detaining them, which needs to be sorted out. If we move on just now, we're going to mention the second judge concerned in this. There has been many more, but the 2 we'll concentrate on today is Nicholas Lorraine Smith, who is retired, and the final one will be Justice Supperstone. Now, Supperstone has actually been prosecuted by the Common Law Court. I convened the case against him, and a jury of his peers found him guilty, which was excellent. They had information presented to them about his behaviour. They were in no doubts whatsoever that he was guilty, and they prosecuted him accordingly. Now, there's an interesting story here. What I'm going to do before we discuss this matter, I'm going to show you another video So if you just pause just now, and please can you watch this video, and then we'll have a chat later.
In early 2019, Marcus Ball's private criminal prosecution case against ex-Mayor of London Boris Johnson was approved by Westminster Magistrates Court for a criminal trial. But it was then suddenly shut down by Judges Supperstone and Rafferty at the High Court before it could get in front of a jury. Judges are legally required to disclose connections they have with people in court that may lead to an appearance of bias or a lack of impartiality. Neither judge disclosed any issues at any point. Marcus was made suspicious by their conduct on his case, so he spent 3 months investigating them. This is some of what he's discovered so far. Get ready. Discovery 1. Judge Supperstone, who shut down the case against ex-Mayor of London Boris Johnson, used to be one of ex-Mayor of London Boris Johnson's lawyers, but never told anyone. Neither did Boris Johnson. Marcus found proof of a payment of £35,500 from Mayor Boris Johnson's GLA accounts to Mr. Supperstone QC in 2008 that Judge Supperstone has not disclosed at any point. The full extent of their relationship is not yet known. Discovery 2. Judge Supperstone has been a member of the secretive, exclusive, men's-only private members club, the Garrick, since 1987. According to a list confidentially shown to Marcus, Boris Johnson's father, Stanley Johnson, has been a member of this same club since 2007. Jacob Rees-Mogg has been a member since 2004, and Michael Gove since 2002. What this means is that if Judge Supperstone had ruled against Johnson in this serious criminal case, he would have been ruling against activities that several fellow members of his social club had also carried out, potentially making his time there very uncomfortable. The husband of Judge Rafferty, Brian Barker, is also a member of this very same club. Again, no mention of this was made to the court. Concealing this information is not a good look for our judiciary, and screams of the old boys network so despised by the public. Discovery 3. Within their written court ruling against the case, both judges ruled that Marcus's team had showed them no legal authorities which equated the offence Boris Johnson is accused of with bringing his office into disrepute. But their ruling then went on to reference 2 legal authorities that Marcus's team had shown them, which do equate the offence with disrepute. In short, Marcus believes that both judges were being dishonest within their own legal ruling on a case which existed to challenge dishonest behaviour. In summary, one judge used to be one of the accused's lawyers and didn't tell anyone, and is a member of the same exclusive social club that the accused's father and key professional allies are also a part of. And both judges stated something in their ruling which, Marcus alleges, they knew wasn't true. The law concerning actual bias and apparent bias are vital to the systems of justice and public trust in the judicial system. Marcus has made a complaint to the Judicial Conduct Investigations Office, which you can read in full at borisjohnsonprosecution.com.
Hello, welcome back. Interesting video. Well, now we can start to see exactly what is going on. Judge Supperstone has actually been involved before with Boris Johnson and the government. Now, what had happened is individual concerned had tried to take Boris Johnson to court while he was Lord Mayor of London. Now, having presented the paperwork to the Magistrates Court in Westminster, he was actually told that the case would proceed and a hearing was penciled in. However, the 2 judges, one of which was Supperstone, had decided to get involved. Now, they had looked at the paperwork and immediately dismissed the case. Now, okay, that's fine. The system should have actually went to trial. It should have been addressed, but Supperstone had actually interfered. Now, if we look at this just now and have a look at the video, we'll now start to ask you questions. First of all, Supperstone was previously a lawyer, a solicitor for Boris Johnson. Now, if that is not disclosed, that is a huge breach in procedure. It's a conflict of interest, and this should be dealt with immediately. I would also turn around and say that that in itself is criminal. It's also fraud. However, he's obviously kept that one up his sleeve, so the fact that he worked for Boris Johnson doesn't matter. Now, the next one, Boris Johnson had paid him the additional money, £35,000. So having paid him this money, it must be on the accounts because Boris had disclosed it. However, Justice Supperstone hasn't. Why did he not disclose it? Maybe because he's let Boris off and he doesn't want any links. But in doing so, he's also guilty of false accounting. What's happened to this money? Where has it went? What was it paid for? And again, the crime's been committed because he hasn't disclosed this. The final point, in relation to the club that he's a member of. Now, Boris Johnson's father's a member of the club. You have Michael Gove and Jacob Reeves are also members of the club. And as it said in the video, my understanding is that these individuals would all be called if the case against Boris were to proceed. Now, each one of these individuals is also members of the club and a colleague of Justice Supperstone. It would have been awkward having to call them, given the fact that they're club members and friends. So he's obviously failed to disclose this and he's dismissed the case, saving a lot of embarrassed politicians and individuals. So we have justice here. They don't have justice in the courts. They're places of business. They're there to protect vested interests, and in this case, they're there to protect Boris Johnson. So Boris Johnson got off of a criminal hearing simply because Supperstone wouldn't proceed with it or wouldn't allow it to proceed. Now, if we jump forward about a year or so, we now look at David and Linda's position. Supperstone, along with Nicholas Lorraine Smith, have been found guilty by the people. So the people are obviously quite good, which enhances the position of the common law court because it is used for lawful purposes to obtain a lawful remedy. And yet, when presented with the evidence, these individuals, reasonably minded men and women, can determine quite easily whether a crime's taken place and if the individuals are guilty as summoned to attend the hearing. Now, they have confirmed that that was the case, which obviously confirming that the system works, and yet their existing system is failing. It's failing because they're protected the vested interests, and it's failing because it doesn't offer justice. And yet, everyone seems happy with this. It's disgusting, it should be sorted out immediately, and the people found guilty should be removed immediately from their positions, and the common law court orders should be enforced. Now, Boris Johnson was also given an order in relation to Linda Fire. He was told that the judges had been prosecuted, they were guilty of committing crimes against the people, and then they were told that Boris Johnson had to get Linda back from the French prison. So having submitted the order for him, he's obviously signed for it to receive it, and yet he's ignored it completely. Now we come back to the question, how can he, as a Prime Minister, appointed by the people and paid by the people, how can he ignore this decision, which is issued from the people, a jury of peers and a superior court, a court of the people? Now, with the declaration, we've confirmed our position, we've confirmed the crimes by the state, and we've served a copy of this notice of the declaration to Boris Johnson, who has literally 3 more days to respond. After which we will then contact him and update the people next week in relation to what's happening. But Boris Johnson is in a job, he's been paid to do a job, he's been told what to do by the people, and he's ignoring them. He's using the system to protect himself. He's using this to attack people, innocent people. And again, if we come back to the situation with David and Linda, they have, I think the product they have will treat approximately 40, if not more, diseases, various diseases that you have. So if you have friends and family that are affected by various other diseases which GCMAF can help, why are you being deprived of this assistance? You should have the right to try this. They cannot dictate to you what you can and cannot do, especially if it's not causing harm, and especially if it's a fraction of the price. This is all about big money, and it's about the government, it's about corruption, and it's with the pharmaceutical companies. Now, when our politicians behave like this, we need them out immediately. These politicians, including Boris Johnson and the judges concerned, are committing treason against the people in this country, and it's no longer acceptable. So what we're going to do is move on now. I'd like to thank you for joining. Just a news update in relation to David's position and Lynn. We will be working on them shortly, submitting paperwork, and we will be keeping you up to date over the next week or so. What we'd like to do just now is to confirm, given the current situation, which is COVID, they are not allowing visitors into the prisons. Strange. David does have diabetes. His health is okay. It's not great, but given obviously the COVID situation, they've decided that he will be isolated. So he's currently in his own cell. He can make phone calls out, but he's not allowed visitors. He can receive any letters. So please, if you wish to write down to David, please feel free to do so. He will be able to read them and hopefully may be able to respond, but he can now take mail. What I'd like to do is confirm the contact details. First of all, the contact is the prison, which is HMP, Her Majesty's Prison, Exeter. The address for that is 30, that's 30, New Road, North Road, Exeter, E for Echo, X for X-ray, 4, E for Echo, X for X-ray. I'll repeat that. Her Majesty's Prison, Exeter, 30 New North Road, Exeter, EX4, 4EX. I'm not sure if anyone wanted to call them, but it says if you do wish to call the prison contact telephone number is 013 92 415 650. And the final thing, if you're writing to David just now, in addition to the address, what you have to do is refer to David's name, David Notes, and his prison number. His prison number is A for Alpha, 7081, D for Delta, Y for Yankee. I'll repeat that again. A for Alpha, 7081, D for Delta, Y for Yankee. So please, if you wish to write down, please feel free to do so. Remember to mention his prison number. You have the address and you can also phone in. He is not allowed visitors just now. Hopefully that may change, but he can accept mail. So please feel free to drop him a line. I'm sure he would appreciate it just now, and we will keep you up to date with what's going on over the next couple of weeks. So thank you for joining, and we'll see you later. Goodbye for now.